So we have already graphed proportional relationships. Now we are going to graph non-proportional relationships. Non-proportional relationships. Remember, non-proportional relationships for our class are going to be in the form y equals x plus b. What does that b represent? The b is the y-intercept. That b, that's where your line is going to cross the y-axis. That's where your y is going to intersect, go across the y-axis. So if this is my graph, and my line looks like this point right there, right here, that's going to be my b. That's going to be my y-intercept, wherever your line crosses that y-axis, that vertical line. So we're going to have to be able to do it two different ways. That's what the SOL says. We need to be able to do it two different ways. One way is with an equation. Our equation here is going to be y equals x plus 1 . So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our first point on the, let me get different colored pens. We're going to put our first point on the y-intercept. We're going to put our first point on the y-intercept. What's another way that we call a y-intercept? What's another name for it? The y-intercept is also on our b, is also our b. In this equation, what is my b? What is my b? My b is plus 1, positive 1. So what I need to do, come down to my graph. I want to put a dot on my y-intercept. I want to put a dot on my plus 1 right here. From there, we want to use the slope, and from the first point, graph the rise and the run. We want to graph our rise over our run. We talked about it a little bit. Before. With this form, our slope will always be the same thing. For this form, non-proportional, our slope will always be 1. In 8th grade, your slope will change, but for 7th grade, slope will always be 1. 8th grade slope will change, 7th grade slope will always be 1. Excuse me. So from this point, if I know my slope is really this imaginary 1, that means I'm going to rise 1 and run 1 from this point. So I'm going to go up 1, and I'm going to go over 1 for a new point. Boom. Straight line because I've got 2 points. Go ahead and connect them. And there's your line. There's your line. Go ahead and pause, rewind that, watch it again if you need to. But if you're good, you can slide on over to this next one, where we are going to graph with a y-intercept and an ordered pair. Here, I'm going to tell you that your b, your y-intercept, is -3. -3. And then the coordinate I'm going to give you is 3, 0. So if they give me a y-intercept, my b, and they give me an ordered pair or a coordinate or a point, The first thing I want to do is I want to plot my point. I want to plot this 3, 0. Like I sang to you before, and I'm sure you remember, when we plot points, we need to slide and pop. Plot those points, don't stop. So if I want to plot this point, I always start at my origin. I'm going to slide 3. So I go over 1, 2, 3. And I pop 0. If I pop 0, do I go anywhere? No, I'm going to stay at this point right here. So there's my first dot. After I plot my given point, then I need to plot the Y-intercept. What's another word for the Y-intercept? My B. What does it tell me my B is? -3. Where do we find the Y-intercept at? On the Y-axis. The Y-axis. So I come to my Y-axis, and I want to put a dot at -3. That's a +3. I don't want to put my dot there. I need -3. So that means I have to come down right here to my -3 and put a dot. Once I've got 2 dots, bam, that's enough for my straight line. Connect the dots. Oh, I didn't use black pen. Connect the dots. And there we've got our pretty line. If you're good with that, go ahead and go on and do the practice. If you have questions, please let one of us know.